Your fingers go numb first, then your face, then the cold stops feeling like cold and starts feeling like something else entirely. For most of human history, this wasn't a bad camping trip. This was winter, every winter. For roughly some years, your ancestors lived through cold that would kill most modern humans in under an hour. No thermostat, no down jacket, no heated car waiting outside, just fire on each other. So how did they actually do it? Oh, not survive one bad night. Survive generation after generation through an ice age that reshaped the entire planet. Let's go back, not to a vague, foggy past, to a specific, brutal stretch of time called the Last Glacial Maximum. Roughly 100 years ago, when ice sheets over a mile thick buried much of North America and Europe. Temperatures in some regions sat multiple degrees Celsius below what we consider normal today. Sea levels dropped over more than 100 meters because so much water was locked into ice. This wasn't a cold snap. This was setting for an entire chapter of human evolution, and your ancestors didn't just endure it, they adapted to it, piece by piece, in ways that still shape your body and your behavior today. Start with the obvious problem: shelter. You can't just wait out an ice age winter under a tree. Archaeologist John Hoffaker, who has spent decades studying how humans colonized the Arctic and subarctic during the Ice Age, points to something remarkable. In the coldest, most exposed parts of Ice Age Europe, humans built homes out of the only large building material available, mammoths. At a site called Mezhirich, in modern-day Ukraine, researchers led by archaeologist Olga Sofer uncovered the remains of dwellings built almost entirely from mammoth bones, skulls stacked to form walls, long bones arranged like structural beams, thus curved overhead like ribs, likely covered with hides to block wind and snow. Think about what that means. Your ancestors weren't just hiding from the Ice Age. They were engineering their way through it using the skeleton of one of the largest animals on Earth as a blueprint for a house. But a shelter alone doesn't keep you alive. You still need heat. This is where fire stops being a convenience and becomes the single most important piece of technology in human history. Not electricity, not the wheel. Fire, a controlled fire, did 4 things at once. It kept your body temperature stable through nights that could easily kill you through hypothermia. It cooked meat and fat, unlocking far more calories than eating it raw, which mattered enormously when your body was burning extra energy just to stay warm. It kept predators like cave hyenas and lions at the distance. And it created a gathering point, a literal circle of light where language, storytelling, and social bonds could deepen through the long dark winter nights. Ever notice how a campfire still feels strangely calming, even now, even when you don't need it to survive? That's not nostalgia. That's tens of thousands of years of your nervous system associating firelight with safety. Fire and shelter solved the environment, but the cold created a second, quieter crisis: clothing. Here's something most people don't realize. Neanderthals, who lived in Ice Age Europe for hundreds of thousands of years, appear to have had only simple draped hides, not fitted, sewn clothing. Homo sapiens moving into the same brutally cold regions needed something better, and the archaeological record shows they invented it. Hide sewing needles made of bones start appearing in their archaeological record around Boma years ago. Small, thin, with a tiny hole punched through one end. That single tool changed everything. It meant hides could be cut, shaped, and stitched into fitted garments, layered clothing, even something resembling boots, instead of just draped and tied. At Sunghir, a remarkable Ice Age burial site in Russia, archaeologists found human remains covered in thousands of ivory beads, arranged in patterns that mirror the outline of fitted clothing that has long since decayed. Rows of beads tracing where sleeves, leggings, and hoods once were. Your ancestors weren't just staying warm. They were wearing tailored, decorated clothing in the middle of an ice age, tens of thousands of years before anyone would call it fashion. So let's reconstruct a single winter day, because the individual facts only make sense once you put them together. You wake up inside a mammoth-bone dwelling, hide stretched over the frame, snow packed against the outer walls for insulation. A fire glows low near the center, tended through the night by whoever drew that shift. You're wearing layered sewn hide clothing, tighter at the wrists and ankles to trap warmth. Your breath fogs in the air even inside the shelter. Outside, the light is thin and gray. Someone checks stored meat frozen solid in a pit dug into the permafrost, essentially a natural freezer that keeps food edible for months. Hunting parties track herds of reindeer or horse, animals that migrate predictably enough that your ancestors can plan entire seasons around their movement. Everyone has a role. Children learn to work hides by watching, not by being taught in any formal sense. Elders, who hold the accumulated memory of which valleys flood, which plants are edible, which routes are safest, are treated as walking survival manuals, because that's exactly what they are. Nothing about this day is passive. Survival here is a constant, coordinated project, repeated with small variations, for thousands of winters in a row. Now here's the counterintuitive twist. It's tempting to imagine the Ice Age as the low point of human history, a grim, miserable slog before things got better. But some researchers argue almost the opposite. The extreme pressure of the Ice Age may have accelerated human innovation rather than simply grinding it down. Cold environments punish sloppy thinking. If your clothing fails, you die. If your fire goes out at the wrong moment, you die. If your shelter design is wrong, you die. That kind of unforgiving feedback loop rewards precision, planning, and cooperation in a way that milder climates simply don't demand as urgently. Some of the most sophisticated tools, the most complex social structures, and even some of the earliest known symbolic art in human history emerged from exactly this period. The famous cave paintings at Chauvet in France, studied extensively by researcher Jean-Claude Tess, were created by people living through Ice Age conditions, not despite the cold, but woven into a world defined by it. The Ice Age didn't just test your ancestors. In a strange way, it built them, and that pressure never fully disappeared. It just changed shape. You don't build mammoth-bone houses anymore. You don't sew your own hide clothing by firelight. But your body still remembers. That craving for warmth on a cold night, specific comfort of pulling a blanket up to your chin, the way a fireplace or even a candle flame can make a room feel safe rather than just lit. These aren't random preferences. They're inherited responses, shaped by tens of thousands of winters your ancestors had to outplan, outbuild, and outcooperate their way through. Somewhere in your genome are the descendants of people who figured out how to turn a mammoth skeleton into a home. People who invented a needle small enough to sew a sleeve, in a world with no metal, no plastic, no factories, nothing but bone, hide, fire, and each other. Your fingers go numb first, then your face. Then the cold stops feeling like cold and starts feeling like something your ancestors had already patiently